Now, let's get to the big thing, which is doing a security review. Now, a review is like a scan of sorts, right? Which is essentially one activity where you're going to be doing a threat model or you're going to be doing a security design review. That is basically what a review is. You can start to work with a review. Let's call this a full system security review of the expense management system. Now, with a review, you can use your documents. You can also use a questionnaire based review. So, if you enable this option, what happens is that you are going to be able to create questionnaires, which is AI will generate questions from the documents that you have, and you can start assigning these questions to different people, and that can become the basis of your review. So you can actually do this as a questionnaire based review if you'd like, or if you just want it to be a document based review and go really fast without inviting third party input, you can do that as well. So in this case, I'm just going to do a simple document based review. I'm going to select whichever documents I want to include as part of that review. And I've also uploaded a diagram. I'm going to include that. And I can start mapping against compliance frameworks that are popular that we have loaded as part of this. And the cool thing with SecurityReview.ai is that you can also include your own custom compliance requirements, custom policy requirements, customer policy requirements, and so on to start mapping it against that as well. So you can do all of that stuff with Security Review. So we are going to map this against OWASP SVS and PCI-DSS. And finally, you can save your review. You can also chain your review to a previous review. So for instance, I've done a full system review previously. I can chain this so that I don't duplicate the findings from the previous review in the new review, or I can do a completely separate review. I don't have to chain this at all. So I can save the review. And once I'm done with this, I can start to get into this particular review. So I've already done one review. I can start a new review, and this can be an incremental review. The cool thing with this is that you can do it for two features that you're working on. So that can be one type of review, or you can do a full system review where you can include all the documents that are necessary for that full system review. So let's get started with doing our review. A review essentially in this case has, since we don't have questions, the review has security objectives and entities, which are your components and how they connect to each other. Data dictionary, which is basically sensitive information assets which are stored, processed, transmitted by the system, threat scenarios, and countermeasures, right? So this is something that you can do with the review. When you get into the workflow, you can start with the review. The thing that we have made sure of as part of SecurityReview.ai is that you should not do a purely automated process of security design review. There's a reason for that. We don't want you to constantly just do a purely automated job, because threat modeling and security design review does require human intervention. It does require a human to verify the tasks that are happening, or the activities that are happening, or the outputs that are generated from each step. So the idea is that after each step, you verify the output of that step and then move on to the next step, and so on and so forth. So the idea is that you are not getting low quality data at any given point in time. The second thing that we have done as part of SecurityReview.ai is we've introduced a patent pending approach called recursive questioning. Now, recursive questioning behaves like a human security expert. So the AI essentially has been trained to ask questions of the documents, ask either validating questions or questions that are adversarial questions of the documentation, to be able to get the documentation to prove whether this practice exists or it does not exist, and so on and so forth. Through this process of recursive questioning, the idea is that we'll be able to arrive at the most accurate data sets for a security design review. So the security objectives that are generated are high-level security goals that are based on this recursive questioning approach. Similarly, each and every object that is going to be in the subsequent steps are also based on the same approach, which is highly targeted, and it makes it accurate, and it also reduces the amount of hallucinations to a bare minimum, or to the lowest possible level. In fact, in most of the systems that we have analyzed, and we have analyzed tons of systems with this, we have seen very, very few, maybe a couple of hallucinations in one or two objects, and that is across thousands of objects. It's very, very low rate of hallucination that we see, because this approach naturally lends itself to higher accuracy and higher precision. And with Security Review, we have added the capability of you having citations in each object. So for instance, in the security objectives, you can actually see where the security objective is being cited from or where it's being grounded from. So for instance, just to give you an idea, we have I'm going to show you the results of a previous review, and you will see that our security objectives in this case, in most cases, will have citations, right? So you'll have citations and say that where did you actually find this? So you remember, we don't want AI to hallucinate. It actually has to derive its information from the documents that you have put in place here. So the idea is that we have added a PRD2 document that says maximum waiting time for approval 14 days, system auto escalates next level manager, whatever. So you'll see that there is a escalation criteria, requirement, or security objective that's been added, and the citation for that is this. Right, so you will see that there is grounding for this, and as a result, hallucinations are brought down to near zero levels in terms of the data that is generated by security review. Now, each object here, if you see in this particular case, I've completed the review here. It has security objectives, it has entities, it has data dictionaries. You will see that the way it is done is in conjunction with some of the world's most well-known threat modeling standards like the NIST SP 800-154, STRIDE, and so on. So you'll see that it maps very clearly to that. It maps against any strong threat modeling requirements or security design review methodologies. In addition to that, we have added AI native techniques to be able to enhance the capabilities of these existing methodologies for an AI native and an AI first world.